Throughout history, people have been hunted for the things that make them different. To conform to societal standards meant safety and security. But for those brave enough to embrace their uniqueness and stray from the prescribed path, history has not been kind. During the English Civil War of the 1600s, the self-proclaimed witch-finder general hunted, tortured, and executed thousands of souls who dared to live freely. The path of blood and destruction left behind by this witch-finder general and his associates forever changed England and the people therein. This is the story of how my ancestors escaped Matthew Hopkins. Welcome to Who Are You? Curious Stories of Family Lore. I'm Wietze,
And I'm Sam Ivy, and
and
this
this
is
is
episode.
episode 11. Did we just say that at the same time? Great, good. So, yay. Uh, Sam's back. She was not here last week because she was partying in the woods,
Yeah,
which you
Live
can
Oak,
probably
Florida.
tell. Where
Yeah,
did you go
voices coming
again?
through. Live Oak, Florida. It's like northern Florida. It was for this festival. It was this festival's 12th year, called Halloween.
Yeah. So we were talking about how we're gonna do a an episode about festivals and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that in the
Yeah,
near future.
to be continued when my voice is back.
Yeah. Um, but we wanted to do a follow-up episode because she wasn't able to join us last week when we did the collaboration swap cast with General Lee from Subconscious Realms. Curious about how people thought of that, what people thought. So leave us a comment on Spotify, commenting on YouTube, or even social media. Anywhere you can comment, leave us reviews, and let us know how we're doing because it will help us be better.
Please.
Yes, yes. So we're gonna kind of fill Sam in on some of the stuff she missed, and then I have other things to add. I did my own research and some history and continue on, like basically extend the branch from the tree from last week. So if you listened last week, we had General Lee on as a guest while Sam was partying in the woods at, you said it was, what was the name of the festival?
It's called Halloween in Live Oak, Florida. It was their 12th year this year.
And how many days were you there?
Uh, 4 or 5, I do believe. I was there from like Wednesday through Sunday night.
I keep telling people you were there for 9 days, and they're like, "Holy cow!" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I don't know why. I just thought I thought you were there for 9 days, and that just became a fact in my head. So four is pretty close.
Yeah, yeah, I felt like 9 days.
But you guys might notice her voice.
Yeah,
That's
I
why I'm
apologize.
no need. You're living freely in the woods, embracing music, which we're gonna have an episode about that in the future. So stay tuned for that. But since you need a little bit of a rest with your voice, we thought let's recap last week, summarize some of those important points with my family, and then branch off. Um, we had General Lee from Subconscious Realms. Well, he kind of had us we did a swap cast and he kind of led the way. So it was more structured for his episode. And so I thought it was really fun. Curious about what the listeners thought. I can't now. I'm like, what did I say already? I'll cut that part in. So we're good. I know what I'll do. It's fine. I'm just thinking out loud.
You're all good, man. I'm excited though, especially because I'm bummed I missed out. But I'm excited to hear about it.
And we are really witchy people. Like our friendship has always kind of I remember one of the first things we did was it's kind of always revolved around like witchy things because one of the first things we did as friends was one get you a tattoo, but we went for like a gemstone store,
Yeah, yeah.
and it just was like so. I love going to metaphysical shops, but there's something really special about going to a metaphysical shop with your best friend who also is very like spiritually in tune.
It's
It,
like those powers are heightened and intensify.
yeah, and you're a Scorpio and I'm a Cancer, and it just somehow the I'm a Scorpio rising, so maybe that's why. Like we get along really well. So um we when I think about witches, I think about you and I think about being able to we talked about the premonitions and the tasseography, and all of it is connected. That was kind of from my maiden grandma's side, so my mom's mom. This is my mom's dad
Okay.
mom, so it's a branch off. um Last week with General Lee we focused on my mom's dad's line, the clinch line. And so to summarize that, why is this important? Because basically, long story short, for those of you listening, I come from a line of people who have been accused of being witches, and they escaped England. And last week was really about talking with General Lee about connecting some of those dots, sharing the stories with him, giving him some names, and then he shared some really cool information from his perspective. We also went off on some tangents and talked about some like horror films, pop cultural things to watch, um, like The Evil Dead type
Yeah.
stuff. Just, I also we talked not I we also mentioned he really mentioned the Witchfinder General movie, which is a horror film. So it's based on fact, but it's like he's like it's very like over the top horror type stuff. You should watch it and then talk about it. It's based off of this guy. So Matthew Hopkins was this dude who's super hyper religious, who's just like, you know what? I'm gonna spread this around that there are witches here. But
Mm,
from what I understand, it started as like this response to religion and then became like a fight for in the name of religion. Um, so let me look here. Okay, so it was during the 1600s. I don't know if I said that. So it was during the 1600s is when this really started. And then the Civil War of England saw a rise in witch hunting because it wasn't just one guy doing the witch hunting, it was this guy and all the people that followed him, all the
mhm.
people that believed his teachings. And he basically was like, "Oh no, you're giving me your stuff through the podcast. Oh no. Let me sip my tea." Good. And my family can be traced back to England. My grandfather times three. So my grandpa's grandfather is the one
Okay.
that immigrated over from England in the late 1800s at 21. It's gotta find my. Yeah, so Richard Clinch, he was born July 15th, 1854, and he was born in Kent, England, which is southern England, southern southeast, I believe. The real he Oh, sorry, no, that's not. He immigrated to the US between the ages of 18 and 21. So if he was born in 1854, so he was in the 1870s is when he immigrated
Yeah.
over. Before he immigrated over, so he didn't bring a family. And this is why am I telling this information about Richard Clinch? Because we know that it's not the Clinch line that was chased out of England because he left at 18 to 21 years old, and he was actually living in England in 1871 because I was able to find census records. And this is kind of cool. He was a boarder, so he lived as a boarder to Henry and Anne Beanie, and this was in Shottenden, Canterbury, Kent, England, so still in Kent. But he was 17 years old at this time. And in 1875, he was applying for a Social Security card in the United States and was registered
Okay.
to vote by 1876 in the United States. He came alone.
Sorry.
He came alone to the United States. So he could have been, like, there could be further connections back that way. I mean, I traced, long story short, I have a list of all the women. What I ended up doing is going back through and finding each wife of every Clinch man from England and finding the maiden names of the wives, and then finding as many names of the women executed as witches as I could. Yeah, like I was like, let's see if any of these are connected, if there's some sort of tie. And I couldn't find many names, so there's no clear answer. Um, but I thought it might be worth saying the names out loud of the ones that I could find who were executed. And these women, accused witches, were executed in the years, I'll say the year after, because these are all in the 1600s. Um, Philippa Flower, and Philippa Flower and her sister, I believe it was, and I don't know. Oh no, mother and two daughters, Philippa Flower, Joan, Margaret. They were all executed in 1618. And I believe it was Philippa Flower who was executed for practicing herbalism. And her last name was Flower, but she also like
Yeah.
dried herbs and stuff.
Yeah.
And that one just it stuck out to me because I was like, oh my gosh, like she was born to do that. Philippa Flower. Just saying
That's
her
a
name, I'm
beautiful
like,
name too.
yeah. Alice Nutter was killed in 18 or 1612. Um, and the mother and two daughters, excuse me, was Joan, Margaret. Oh, I think it is. I don't know. I'm not sure of those names. But it was a mother and two daughters, Joan and Margaret. I know for sure. The third daughter's name, I'm unsure of. But that was in 1618. And then Elizabeth Sawyer in 1621, Elizabeth Clark in 1645, Catherine Grady in 1654, Isabella Rigby in 1666.
Mm.
Listen to this name. Ursula Corbeil, also known as the White Witch of Worcester. So that's pretty cool. And she was killed in 1661. The method of these executed witches ranges. It depends on the method used to test to see if they were a witch. A lot of times they were
Mm.
burned at the stake, but we're going to find that depending on the witch trial and who the executor was, because it wasn't just the witchfinder general going around executing witches, it was other people as well. And they started before him. He just revved it up intensely. And I think generally said that the majority of the witch hunting he did happened in the like 1660s, so I'm not quite sure. But during the 1644, during the English Civil War, the East Anglia region, like Essex, Suffolk, Norfolk of England, was heavily hunted. The entire country was, but that was kind of where it was concentrated. The Lancaster witch trials of 1612 to 1634. These are the ones where I wonder if there's a connection to my family, but on my grandma's mom's, or so, my grandpa on my grandma. Wow, how do I even say this? The branch that I was talking about, my grandpa's mom.
Okay.
So Francis Clinch is where, oh no, I did trace it back. No, okay. So I'm misremembering. Uh, I did find something on my grandma Maudie's side that we're going to dive into that is kind of interesting. But I was able to find something off, something weird about the Clinch side that could potentially be connected. Solomon Clinch was born way back in the late 1500s. Let me find sorry.
You're
My
good.
handwriting is so good. Where is this? This was like the most important part. Think I also had another. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, what? That's not it. Oh, okay. Hold on. I just need to find when Solomon was born, or like the times. Okay, well, I don't know. So, oh my God, there it is. I found it.
Thank you, Solomon.
Holy crap. It literally says Solomon, eighth great grandpa, 1631 to 1685. So right there in the center. So I would be able to see it. Anyway, uh, so this is my eighth great grandpa, Solomon Clinch. Up until this point, you can find the wives of every Clinch. You can trace their family back, at least to a certain extent that I did. I didn't do much like outwardly, but I could at least find, okay, there's a trail to follow. Let me go on to the
Yeah,
next. But once you get to Solomon, you cannot find any record of Francis Clinch existing before their marriage date. There is a story that has been passed down in our family that says that our ancestors, a family, so at least a husband and a wife, were smuggled out of a city that was being attacked by witch hunters. They were smuggled out underneath hay in a horse-drawn carriage to a safe zone. And if Francis Clinch is the one that was smuggled out, a lot of times the way that these accused witches, you know, marrying somebody and getting a new last name and popping up in a new town and erasing any record of who you were before is how you're going to escape that.
especially with how
So,
record keeping was back then.
yeah. And I know that the tasseography is from my grandma on my mom's side, her maiden line. And this is my grandpa on my mom's side, his paternal line. So this is different. And I always kind of thought that it was the clinch line that held some of that, but I think it's all over. It's in various ways. So, um, some of the ways, why would Francis, why would you, up and leave a city that was hunting witches if you weren't a witch? Well, you didn't have to do much to be accused of being a witch. And so if you were even a little bit weird, or if your hair, look at this is natural. And now it's more noticeable because I'm like doing the blow drying thing and kind of straightening it out. So it pops out more. This has been historically seen as the mark of the devil, the mark of the witch. Genetically, it's called poliosis, where the pigment in your hair, usually triggered by old age, stress, dying, whatever that pigment is, or whatever it's called, the pigment that gives
Yeah.
you hair pigment, the name that gives you hair pigment. Um, but many believed, especially in England, that it was a physical sign of witchcraft, that just by practicing witchcraft, this is going to happen. So if Frances Clinch, or Frances, whatever her name was before then, because her name doesn't exist anywhere, if she had this, and this is where it originates from, which then becomes part of the Clinch line, um, then absolutely probably you can't dye your hair, so you just got to get out of
No.
there. You just got to hide underneath hay and change your name and go somewhere else. So it was seen as being touched by fairies, spirits, but what's really cool, and I like this interpretation, Native American culture, like Cherokee and Creek, which are found
Yeah.
eastern US, some southern east, southeast, some northeast. Um, they called it the thunder mark. You were struck by lightning and survived.
Why is that so fitting for you? Like the fuck?
I just, I don't know. When I read that, I was like, oh, I'm so proud to wear this hair. I'm so proud to
Yeah.
wear this hair. So many people think it's dyed, and it's just every time someone's like, oh, I like your hair, the first thing I say is, thank you, it's natural. And they're like, what? You don't add that? I'm like, no, that's a thunder strike, or a thunder mark struck by lightning. Um, they also believe that you're meant to carry messages from your ancestors, carry and receive them. And this one hit me. So hard, this next one. You are a dual nature divided soul. You bridge the gap between the mortal and the immortal world. And I immediately thought of my twin sister.
Yeah, dude.
And I just
Uh, I got goosebumps.
synchronicities and doing this podcast and putting all these things together. These are all thoughts that used to just be swarming around in my head. Like all these connections, I'd just be like, oh wow, this is a thunder mark. Oh, I electrocute film because I was tracing my history back from my ancestors, and now I created my own photographic process using a machine that my ancestor used, and I only knew that because I read his autobiography, and it's just weird how it's all
Hmm.
connected.
And how
And
it
my mom
naturally
had this,
happened.
yes, that's the most important thing, is it took its time blooming. It did it on its own. That's how I know we're supposed to do this podcast. Every single week, there's at least one more new person is deciding to tune in. And every person that listens gives life back to the people that we're talking about, to the people lost. Like to my great grandma Maudie, who we're about to talk about and transition
Yeah,
to her
dude.
branch.
It allows their stories to live on through others and not just us, for other people to actually be a part of it.
Yeah. So I had to share that part with you. I know that it
Yeah.
was mentioned last week, but I was like very excited to tell you that because I knew that you would appreciate it. I think I said earlier beforehand, oh, I wanted to share some, oh, I'm all over the place. This is all over the place. I just wanted to share something else really quick about something I found out about the Clinch family. Something really
Yeah.
cute and beautiful. My uncle, my gosh, my grandfather, Richard Clinch, the one that immigrated over, when he was a teenager, and pretty much probably all throughout his life, they were farmers, and they would
Mm.
sell their produce at farmers markets. But really, what they were known for was their cherries, selling cherries. So they won an award for it at the farmers market. I think I posted an article last week with the General Lee episode.
That's funny though, because you're the reason why I tried cherries for the first time.
Really?
Yeah, because like when we lived in Colorado, you used to always have fresh fruit. You'd always have blackberries, raspberries, and there was one time you had cherries, and I remember us getting pretty baked before class, and all you had just had little baggies of fruit. So we had cherries and blackberries, and that was my first time trying both. But like you made me fall in love with cherries.
That is incredibly cool. Like how what it's like what? It's a little thing, but like what?
Yep.
The Clinch family just doing cherry stuff back in the day in England, and then me just turning people on to cherries on accident? It's just in my blood. Cherries are so good. I love cherries. Cherry pie always been
Mhm.
my favorite. I don't like the
Yep.
canned maraschino cherries at all, but I'll eat them. I do like them in a mixed drink, but not on a sundae. They
That's
can,
different. Yeah.
or in a drink other than a Shirley Temple. I mean, like a frozen milkshake. Get it off. I don't want it on my
Mhm.
sundae. No, I want fresh cherries with the pit. I want to spit the pit out all over my yard so I
Yep.
accidentally end up with a cherry tree orchard. Anyways, which is probably what they had. But this was the whole reason. The other weird thing about Francis and Solomon. This is what really makes me feel like something is off, that things are being forged, that her name probably wasn't even Francis. And it says she was in her 70s and Solomon was in his 30s, and she had kids into her 90s. Wrong.
Holy fuck.
So if she was doing that, she definitely was a witch. If she was having kids
Yeah, dude.
at 91, she was supposedly had her last kid. And she had nine
I
kids
mean,
with
I know it's
Solomon.
possible. I know it's possible. It has happened before, but back then, especially with the medical like equipment and like shit alone, like,
Yeah,
mm,
I don't know. But why would Frances go through all that trouble, Frances Clinch, to change her name potentially, forge a bunch of documents, hide under a hay bale, and move to another city to escape a witch hunter? If this is what happened, we don't know for sure. But that is a story that was passed down. Who did that? Maybe I'll find an answer specifically to, but if it was Frances, some of the things that uh, Matthew Hopkins would do, like, so he was self-declared Witchfinder General. He wasn't given that title. Nobody was like, "Oh, sir, you are declared Witchfinder General. Please save us." That wasn't
Yeah.
happening. He was just like, "I am this, and follow me." And some people were like, "Yeah, we're gonna do that." Sound familiar to today? Blind loyalty despite evidence of the
Hmm.
contrary. Uh, so
It's the difference between followers and leaders, man.
yeah. Oh my gosh. First of all, many of the methods, this is from historicuk.com.
Yeah.
Many of the methods that Hopkins adopted to investigate cases of witches or witchcraft were taken directly from the King James bestseller Daemonology. Daemonology, which was basically a book about demons and how to combat demons
All
through like
right.
the
All
eyes of
right.
the church. I think I've never read it. I've just read summaries of an idea of it. I am not educated on the topic of the daemonology. Okay, so apparently it's super violent. And although, the Witchfinder General Matthew Hopkins apparently wasn't as violent as what was described in daemonology, there were a lot of really messed up things they did, from like keeping the suspect awake for days on end, resulting in sleep deprivation and psychosis. You do crazy things when you're deprived of sleep, and then you'll confess
Yeah.
of anything. You'll literally tell them anything to not be kept awake. Oh my God. I remember in the newborn phase of being a mom. Oh my, I have never felt exhaustion like that. Like, I would have done anything to sleep. Um, so there were things called lady pickers, and they were basically people who had a job of cutting the arm open of the accused witch with a needle or pin. So I don't know, it says cutting the arm of the accused with a knife, needle, or pin. And if she did not bleed, she was said to be a witch. However, with a very good living to be earned for unmasking witches, retractable or blunt blades were often used so that it would appear that they weren't
That's
bleeding and
fun.
that they were a witch. So, like, here's a picture of some of those retractable blades. So you can see it's like when it's
Hmm.
out. It's like the toy knives that I
Yeah.
always
Like when
had
you
one
say,
that when you
yeah.
pretended to shank somebody, it retracted in. I know. It was a Old Forge Adirondack Mountain souvenir from Souvenir Village. Okay, don't judge us. It was like
No.
awesome. And
Mine
I
came
also
with a
got a
Scream
slingshot,
costume for Halloween.
but
Yeah,
I
that's the one
remember
that
when
I
I
had was like the
saw,
large, like butcher
yeah,
knife.
yeah, I remember seeing that and it bringing back a core memory of having one of those little shankers. Um, but fun fact about Hopkins is his favorite method to find witches was through the infamous swimming test, which basically, if they drowned, they were not a witch, but they were dead. And if they did not drown, they were a witch. So then they were going to be publicly burned at the stake.
Yeah, so
So that would
if you're not
suck.
a witch, you're dead. If you are a witch, you're dead.
Yeah, either way, this person's gonna die. Um, There were other methods as well. Those were the main ones, but I thought I remember hearing about other, but the main one that I wanted to tell you about was the trickery with the blades. So
Crazy.
so there with that potential lead in, that could be where the witches come from in my family. But when I really got thinking about this, and I thought about after I did all this research, mind you, I remembered the premonition that my grandma Maudie had
Yeah.
when my mom was pregnant with me. And I think it's relevant and it's a good transition point because my grandma, Maud Proctor, she was born 12/22 in 1902 in Cherry Valley, New York. Again with the cherries. She married Marvin Lynn Clinch in 1920. Marvin Lynn Clinch is Richard Clinch, who immigrated over from England's son. So
Okay,
Marvin and Maudie are my grandpa's parents. Yeah, Marvin and Maudie.
that's fucking
That's
cool.
adorable. They had 9 kids together. Before I said Solomon and Francis had 9 kids together. I was wrong. I was mistaken. They had kids together. They had a lot. I don't know how many, but 9 was how many Marvin and Maudie had. And I have,
That's
where
still
is
a
that
freaking
picture?
butt ton.
Yeah, I think I have hold on a second. Is it right out here? Oh, dang. I have a picture that is framed of from my cousin Diane, who is my grandpa's identical twin brother's daughter. So my
Wow,
cousin Diane, she one year like printed all these photos and put them in frames and gave them out to the family. And one of them was a picture of all the boys. So wait, this says they had 9 kids together. I don't know about that. Hold on a second. So her husband, Marvin, died in 1936 at the age of 55.
uh-huh.
And they had been together for 16 years, and she was left to raise all of her boys. They were all boys. And it says 9 kids, like in the research that I found, there were like it said like they had 9 kids, but the ones that I remember hearing about was Uncle Warren, my grandpa, Uncle Ole, Uncle Bill, Edward, Uncle Bud, so that's Uncle Bud, and then Richard. That's 6, right? But apparently, and I don't know if I should say this, apparently Grandma Maudie, or, oh no, they probably already know this. That's what that's talking about. Grandpa Marvin had other kids from other relationships. And
Gotcha.
so there's some confusion, I think. At least, or it said there's kids from other relationships on one of the other side. I don't want to say anything wrong and make my family upset, especially the family that knows a lot more than I do that I haven't reached out to ask because I don't know if they would. I don't know. So they might know more, but um, why is she important? Because she's the grandma that not saved my life, but maybe gave my mom some peace of mind because I don't think my mom was gonna abort me, but maybe, you never know. So
hmm
my mom was was never supposed to have kids. She was not supposed to be able to. She had to have a lot of fertility medication to get pregnant with my brother. There were a lot of complications. My brother was born with the cord wrapped around his neck, and it was she had preeclampsia, and she was really sick. She almost died. And so she was kind of like, all right, well, we're not doing that again. That's a one and done deal. He was
Yeah,
born in 89. I was born later than that, later, and I'm not gonna say the year, but later after that. And it happened on accident. Like one day my mom started feeling sick and she took a pregnancy test and she was pregnant with me and she was like, "What in the what?" And so she was really nervous. Was sick, she was having basic kind of cramps, and so the doctors were concerned. And so when she was about 12 weeks, between 12 and 15 weeks pregnant, they did this alpha fetal protein test. And it came back saying I was going to have spina bifida or some sort of chromosomal defect, or like something was going to be wrong where I wasn't going to be able to walk. I probably would never talk. Like I was not going to develop because something in what they were reading was telling her that I was dying. So if I didn't
yeah,
die, I would be really, really disabled. They recommended an abortion. They were like, this pregnancy isn't viable. You shouldn't have it. Um, but she got the choice. I don't know if I talked about this previously, but they gave her the choice, and I think that's important. And so she was like, okay,
yeah,
well, let
100%.
me let me think about this, because it's scary. And they were also like, you could die. Like you were very close to death the
hmm
first time. Like you maybe shouldn't do this again. And so she was scared. And at that time, Grandma Maudie was in the hospital dying. This was November of 1990, fine, I'll just say it, of 1990. And my mom went to the hospital to say goodbye. They were basically like, "Hey," because she had been in a comatose state, non-responsive, eyes glazed over,
Mm.
in bed on her deathbed, dying. And I guess my grandma Maudie had always had premonitions. She always had dreams. So this is, another trail of dream seers. And my mom gets there and she sits down next to my grandma's bed and goes to grab my grandma's hand, and as soon as she does, grandma sits up and turns to my mom, eyes still glazed over, but pulls her closer and says, "You're gonna have a beautiful little girl and she's gonna be just fine." And then she laid down and died. So I think I
Did your
told
mom even
that
know you were a
story
girl at
before.
that point?
No, she was like, I was born in June. This was in November.
Yeah, yeah.
She had just
So
had the
there's no like there
test to
wasn't a
tell.
developmental process. Yeah.
No, no, it was too soon to tell. But Grandma Maudie knew. She said I was going to be a little girl and I was going to be fine. She said beautiful, but that could have been
You are.
embellished. Thank you. That's what I was waiting for, but whatever. It took you just a little longer than I thought it would, but it's okay. Um, chill. I'm just gonna sip my tea. But so after that, my mom was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna be scared now. But she was still scared. She also said, she told me this once, and I don't know if I'm glad that I know this or if I'm glad that I am. I don't know. She said this, I don't know if she was sober or if she was drunk. This is hard for me to say, so I'm sorry. She said that maybe the reason that we didn't connect like we were supposed to was because she couldn't let go of the fear that I was gonna die in her belly. And she was gonna die giving birth to me. And so she didn't ever feel like she was fully connected to me. And that's why I
It's like
resented her
she
as a kid.
almost it's almost like she kind of cut that emotional tie before it even happened because in her head, one or two things was going to happen. Either she wasn't going to make it or you weren't going to make it. So she was trying to, guard herself from that pain. And I mean, I've never been pregnant, I've never had a kid or anything. So I know that there is definitely that emotional and that bond that happens. So I don't know what it's like to break it before you physically have it and then to try to rekindle it. Like I don't know how hard that really is.
I definitely remember feeling angry with my mom really young,
Yeah.
which is crazy because she chose to keep me. I should have been grateful. Uh,
But no, I
so
never knew your
where did
mom
I
said that to
leave
you, and
off?
that is very heavy.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, here we go.
Oh, just fun fact, it's really random. If you were wondering when they won the awards for the cherries, Richard Clinch, it was at the Chilbam Flower Show. It was the 14th annual Chilbam Flower Show of Chilham Garden Society. He was mentioned as having beautiful plates of cherries. I mean, I just thought that was cute. Oh, and he qualified fourth in a cricket match.
Ooh,
Richard Clinch did.
I feel like this is your
Yeah,
sign to grow some cherry trees in homage.
it'd be cool. That would be cool. Um, but when I was researching, just one last note, just to tie everything together, because again, we're never going to have answers of where the witchery comes from because it wasn't documented and it's not like a spell book was handed down. And you're going to have people in my family that probably listen to this podcast and either they love it or they don't, because I don't know how I would feel if somebody was talking about witchcraft in my family line, but also like I would feel great. Um, but I guess what I'm saying is there might be people in my family that disagree. That will be like, no,
Hmm.
um, there's no witchcraft in our family. And to that, I'm gonna say to you, there are people in our family who dried herbs, who hung herbs up and made medicines for healing. I have family right now that have incredible skills with canning and natural medicine. Cure-all is a concoction that they keep in the fridge made of horseradish and other things that you take and it like clears your sinuses. That's witchcraft. Everything is witchcraft. Like
Yeah.
anything that benefits you and not the cog in the bigger machine, anything that allows you to think freely or to think for yourself or to critically analyze what's going on around you and to be kind and to be compassionate and to own your power, whatever power that is, whether it's faith in God, great. If that's your power, embrace it and be powerful with it. And do the words of your God and your Christ. I want to pray to gods and goddesses, and they are not like, I don't believe that there's like one answer. I think that we all are led by intuition and we can shine bright through different lenses. And the color blue, if you look at color blue through a red lens, it's going to look purple. But if you look at it through a blue lens, it disappears. It's just like it's how you look at things. And I I think I come from a long line of people who work really hard and who embrace nature and healing and homeopathy and hard work. And this ties into Grandma Maudie's family. I traced those guys all the way back to Peter. This is going to be a tongue twister. This was even hard for my brain to what I'm about to. Listeners, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to explain how this man, this gentleman, is related to moi. My grandma Maudie, who predicted me being beautiful, is the granddaughter of this guy times 8 or 9. So
God damn.
the yeah. I'm just gonna go through the line. So Grandma Maudie's mom's name was Flora. Flora's mom's name was Margaret. Margaret was born in 1847. Margaret's mom's name was Lorinda. Lorinda was born in 1825. They like to call her Eliza Lucy. Lorinda's mom, her name was Lena, but they liked to call her Lana, and she was born in 1803. Then Lena's mom's name was Maria, and they just called her Maria, and she was born in 1759. She was in New York. All of this is in New York, but she went to a Dutch Reformed church, and she was very Dutch because her maiden name was Vosburg. Maria's mom, her name was Commertje. Commertje. Last name, maiden name was Bronk. She was born in 1724. Her mom's name was Anna de Vanderleer. And then she was born in the 1600s. But whatever. We're focused on Comert G. Bronk. So, Connie, we're going to call her Connie. Connie married one of the Clinch dudes. Or Connie, no, I don't know. Connie this is all, basically, instead of walking back through the men, I walk back through the women. Because I'm like, why do we
Okay.
only walk back through the men? Because we're always like, oh, it's Clinch is it's the man's name. But all of these men married women.
Uh-huh.
So we have Margaret Schemmerhorn, Lorinda Sitzer, Lana, Jera Lomon, Maria Vosburgh, Commerty Bronk. Commerty Bronk was married to Leonard. So basically like Leonard. Think Leonard and Connie,
Yeah.
but it's spelled Leenert, and it's spelled, her name is Commertje. They're Dutch. They were Dutch. These names are Dutch. And There is a Bronx Museum in Greene County, New York, and it is the oldest house in New York State, the oldest surviving house in New York State. And you can go to the museum. Peter Bronk built a stone house in 1663. So in the 1660s over here, my ancestors were building the oldest house in the United States, while over in England, my ancestors were being hunted for being witches, trying to get over here. But like it took them another 200 years to get over here. It took Richard to get over here. But we have history here in New York with the oldest surviving house in the entire state. It's utilitarian style favored by Northern European settlers. They were Dutch, so it has Dutch architecture. There's a Dutch barn. Um, I have some pictures here for you, and I'll post these as well. Um, the Bronx House and Barn. So that's the house.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Isn't that
Ooh, look
so
at the pops of
cute?
red.
Yes. And like, I'm a direct descendant, so isn't this mine? Just kidding.
Well, it's funny because it reminds me of your kitchen back in Colorado Springs.
Oh my gosh, yeah. With the red door.
Mm.
Oh wow, yeah. That
Yeah,
little bill.
like just like with the pops of red.
Oh. I was like, how I was drawn to the pop of red. When I saw that door in Colorado, I had
Mm-hmm.
like goosebumps flash over me. It's so weird. It's like we hold the memories of our ancestors close to us, and they're why we like the things we like.
100%.
Walking into my grandparents' house, so Marvin and Doris Clinch, the Marvin is the son of Maudie and Marvin. He was named after his dad.
Mm-hmm.
They always had Dutch hexes, like welcome hexes. Hexes? Witchcraft. Right
Another
there.
form of witchcraft.
And so to be a witch is to be a free thinker, is to believe in a higher power, is to channel energy, is to care and love and find a coven. A coven is a family, is a church, is a congregation.
It's wild hearing
It's all
you
connected.
express about it this way because when we go into the music episode that we're going to do, it's kind of the same way that raving is and what it actually stands for compared to what people see it as is this negative bad thing, but what it actually means and what the sense of community actually brings. So it's wild.
That's
That's
amazing.
gonna be a cool tie-in.
And that's going to be next week. So it'll be a nice
Yeah.
follow up after this episode. But that's really exciting. But that's all I have. I just wanted
No, that's
to kind of
awesome.
yeah. Um, do you have any last thoughts for the listeners?
I would say last thoughts would be regardless of opinions or what you think others will judge what you do and your beliefs, like stand by what you believe in. Not everything is the illusion that people make it out to be. Like for witchcraft, it could be seen as, worshiping the devil, but when you get more in depth, it's not. It's all about the spiritual
Yeah,
aspect of it and the natural aspect of it. So that goes for anything. Witchcraft's just an example, but that's anything, whether that's you're passionate about art or you're passionate about music and you get fucking pushed down and people tell you, you're not going to be good enough, you can't do it, pursue it, try it. If you enjoy it, do it.
absolutely. Yep. And if it makes you happy and it's not hurting anybody else, I support you and live freely. And, I connect with my ancestors through following in their footsteps in ways that align with my beliefs. And I respect anybody else who does the same in their own way. So honoring your ancestors
Hmm.
looks different for everybody. This is how I do it. So, thanks for being here, fam.
Yeah, thanks for being here, listening to my crappy voice, which I swear will be better for next week's episode.
You don't even sound that bad. You only squeaked like 3 or 4 times.
I, I sound like the squeaky toy from Toy Story, okay? The little penguin.
Okay, well the penguin is mint. So, yeah, not in color, but you know what I mean. Anyways,
Uh,
never stop asking yourself,
who are you?
who are you?
Who
Who
are
are you?
you?
Probably a witch.